Hold on, freeze. Let's get rid of the Andorian in this shot.
Yep.
Back his ass out. Get that blue guy out of there.
Alright, you guys leave it, and we'll have a cue for comments.
Too much?
Yeah, that was good.
Fucking Andorians, I hate it.
Hello.
It's the Solar One Sci-Fi podcast.
Right, the
Yes,
professional.
well,
Here we
yeah,
go.
I think so.
Make sure I'm central, so that because I've got a new Solar One's logo, like BBC One logo,
Have you?
and it spins now in the corner. So I like to get myself quite centralised.
Where's? I can't see it.
No, you'll see it tomorrow when it's released.
Oh, all right, okay.
It's
right,
post edits. Post edits.
Okay. I'm sorry. I apologise. Right. Do you know what I mean?
My watch is talking to me now. All right, okay, here
Right.
we go. Hang on, I can't get myself central. Normally it's not a problem. There we
You
are.
look wonderful.
I know,
You
look.
perfectly central. Yeah. Oh, for God's sake! You look like a fucking politician, man.
I'm going to keep that.
You know.
This is episode 134 of the Solar One Sci-Fi podcast. I'm Michael Ball, aka Coclud on YouTube, joined by my ever faithful co-host, by the gods of science fiction. It's Martin Fowler. Hello, Martin. How are you?
Hello, how are you, my friend? It's
I'm very
been a
good.
week.
It's a bit
Been a
cold
week.
here. Another week.
Yeah,
a bit
it's freezing.
rainy,
Yeah.
sleety.
Have you got snow yet?
No, have you? What's it like? Where you
Yeah,
are?
no, it were raining, but it is. I went out last night. It's freezing, absolutely freezing.
It's awful, isn't it? I am absolutely done
Yeah.
with this time of year. So
Yep.
I'm just looking forward to. It's 3 weeks till the clocks go forward because they go early this year, and then
Right.
yeah. But I like that because then it's nice for the evenings. You can start to go out more and things like that. Now this week we've got a couple of things, big things to talk about. It's a split in two podcasts where. The first half will be the focus of the week, which is a classic from the 1950s, TheFly, the original, with Vincent Price et al. And then we've got a lot of Star Trek talk as well. So I think straight away, shall we go into our focus of the week?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi.
focus of the week.
Right, so this is a film which I must have seen when I was about 10 or something. It was on like late night on Channel 4 in the UK. And it was sort of started off as a sort of generic. Well, it wasn't generic from the beginning, but it was obviously, I'm aware of Transporter on Star Trek, and the idea of teleportation things was not a new thing, but it was new when this was made. And you know, it's this film, and it's this scientist guy, and he's got his wife and this kid, and suddenly something happens in an experiment, and we see him, and he's like, what's wrong with him? He's got this big sort of like black bag over his head. And I think, okay, that's a sort of a bit of an odd thing to do with your wife, but you know, people do things behind closed doors, and if he wants to dress up like that, and then he starts knocking on the table, and going, all this, and it was like one knock for yes, two knocks for no, and I thought, this is a strange film, and of course, as it went along, we realised what this is all about, teleportation, and it was the mixing of him, and in the end, it was a fly, and it was pretty good premise actually, and it was very well acted, but I think what really made this film, obviously we'll go into the whole thing, was the ending, and I won't go on about that now. We'll get it until we get there, but this film, based on the ending, which a bit reminds me of the Man with the X-Ray Eyes ending, which we only reviewed a couple of weeks ago, it had a similar feel, which is why we talked initially about reviewing this one. So it's just a film I've loved. It scared the life out of me. It still really has that edge to it, even though it's dated. So, Martin, tell me about what you think about it.
What year was this made?
I'm checking. I think it's about 1958. I think something like that. It's quite old.
You know, well, Vincent Price is in it, isn't
Is it? Yeah, he is. He's the brother.
Yeah,
Revere.
Vincent Price. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, 1958.
when I saw this for the first time. It was such a 1950s movie. It's setting in the suburban home, and
The perfect
he's a
home.
scientist. He's
Yeah.
a successful scientist at a university or something, and you know, he's got his lab downstairs. She's the ever-loving, devoted wife, her brother. He's quite respectful. It was all that sort of nice, sort of American setup, and then and it carries on like that for I'd say for quite a way through the film.
It does.
You see
It
his
does.
lab,
Yeah.
And then he does the experiment, and like the man with the X-ray eyes, this thing goes totally somewhere else. Now the remakes, I don't see them. I just think they're just totally.
It's not.
Individual
It's so different. Although it's a similar
Yeah.
premise, it's not like a remake. It's its
Yeah,
own
they're
version of the
their
story.
own
Yeah,
thing.
it's very different. Yeah.
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 And yeah, it did. I remember seeing clips of him sat with bag on his head. and I was like,
Why does it sound funny the way you say that? But go on.
No, because like you're watching this film that sort of starts off with that 1950s all-American sort of family. You know, back then that you know they lived in the nice. It was all nice, wasn't it? And
like Pleasantville, that film. That parody of it, kind
they
of
lived
thing.
in that sort of.
Or even
neighborhood.
One Division had it in the 50s episode.
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah.
It was all quite nice, and you think, yeah, right, it's science fiction. And then he steps into the, I was going to say quantum accelerator.
And vanished.
Yeah, vanished. He steps into his teleport pod. And then after that, it's sort of like, it just turned really weird. It got really, really weird. And I remember when I saw him when he had a bag on his head. And then when he were like 1 for no and 2 for yeah, and I was sat there and I thought, what the fuck is going on in this film? You know what I mean? I saw TheFly going to teleport, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd not this at first time, not really. You know, normally in these the fly might have been enlarged with something like device or something, you know. And it wasn't. His DNA had merged with that, and.
Yep.
She were getting I mean, there were always hysterical scenes where she's screaming.
Yeah, well, they always do that.
Time,
Yeah.
and Vincent Price is like in one of the few films where he is sort of the goodie. And I think he had a kid as well, didn't he have a kid?
He was after her. He really fancied his brother's sister. I tell you, he wanted to get off with her as soon as he was gone. You could tell.
Yeah,
he was like
going on that film.
Yeah, of course he was. Yeah, he fancied the pants off her. You could tell. But anyway, go on. I digress.
Didn't he have a kid?
No, because the kid was their kid. Robert was the kid. No, Philippe. What was it? It's Philippe. Philippe was the kid of the scientist and the wife, and he was the brother.
Yeah, because I remember the end. He sees it at the end, and then like you know, like Dad, why are you wearing a plastic bag over your head? You know what I mean? You know, it's 1958.
He didn't say that. It would have been funny if he'd have said that.
Yeah, I know, but this is what I'm watching this for the first time as a kid. And I'm sat there thinking, well, why is it? Well, obviously something's happened to this guy. And he's walking around and nobody's questioned it. He's got a fucking bag on his head. But anyway, the film carries on.
Actually, it was flashback. The film was actually done in flashback. The beginning was
done in flashback.
Yeah, it starts off with the inspector, and the wife has been arrested because the husband has been in a vice, and he's had his head squished away to nothing. But which I thought was weird because his head was so squished apparently that they couldn't tell that there's anything different than a conventional human head. And even if it's a giant fly, you would have thought, hang on a minute. How come he's well, it doesn't matter.
Well, anyway, I'm a bit confused there because, like, if they'd have swapped heads with Fly and
human,
the Fly and human dude, I won't spoil ending, but surely when he's banging on table when walking around with a big bin liner on its head, like, isn't that the Fly in the? That's the Fly in it. That's the actual Fly in it.
In its defence, I think what it was that I think it's a bit like Tuvix in Star Trek, where the brain had sort of merged, and so I think it was weird because, but the ending also I won't say until we go on a bit further, but that aspect was also there. I think that it was partly human, partly Fly intelligence, which is as the film progressed,
it was like emerging.
But as the film progressed, he said he was losing control of his humanity.
Yeah.
The insect arm was starting to come up more, and he was starting to lose control. And his writing on the chalkboard was slowly deteriorating as the film went on. It was like a progressive thing, which I thought was quite clever.
Yeah, all right, that's fair enough in its defence.
That's what it was. And I assume, well, we'll get to the end of the film with regard to more of this subject. We can't sort of like, I mean, okay, there are spoilers, but we want to go in sort of like in order. But so this part was that obviously it was mainly the human, but the head was of a fly, but that was on the outer. It might have been just the physical, more resemblance of a fly, but the intelligence was still partly human, but it was deteriorating.
But that's the genius of this film.
I know
because it's got you thinking that him and the fly are just one creature, that they've merged together. That's what this film. And so you see that ending,
you don't
you
realise
never
that's
think
the
about
twist.
that.
No.
So you're thinking he's merged with fly DNA, which is dominating his human side, and he's going to change into a big fly. That's what you're thinking.
Well, in respect to the remake, that was different because that was a continuing problem. He was slowly deteriorating into Brundle Fly, you know. But this film wasn't a progressive thing. He was what he was, but it was some change, as I just said. That his intelligence was slowly, but also his consciousness, himself, was slowly changing more. He was losing control. So the remake had more of a physical change. This was more of a mental change as it was going on, which is again I thought was very, very clever.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched this when I was a kid, I mean, so far we're at a standard B movie here so far.
Yeah, but
so
this
far,
progressed
and then suddenly it goes up into the A listings. Then at some point, this film just it starts off as like your standard B movie, and then we're getting the bin line a bit, and it's taking over his intelligence. We know there's something under there, but as he just merged with the fly, like a new life form.
Yeah.
And then and that's where we're all focused.
That was what's so clever about it.
Kill his family and eat him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then obviously sacrifices himself, and we think it's over. We think it's over, and I were like, well, that were. I wasn't that impressed with that really. Where dude in a mask, and a plastic cap. And then we got it. Because you're right. It's the police are there, and the kid, and he's looking. I think they're in the garden.
But before that, there was an interesting little twist because the kid, for some reason, had this obsession with catching flies, and the wife said, "Well, you got to catch this fly, a special fly." Why? And we saw this fly in a couple of scenes, and it looks like they got Tipex. And they got a real fly and put Tipex on its head to make it look white, which I thought was really weird. There was a couple of points where Mom, I caught the fly, and he caught the wrong fly, and the mum said, "That's not the right fly." And as we go on, we realise. Remember that bit?
Yeah, I do it because Maud's coming back to me. I had a memory flash. In the film, when he's flying around, you hear a little voice in the background.
Do you? I don't remember that bit.
They think they hear something. There's a scene where, like, they hear something.
I thought that was just at the end of the film when he's.
No, I think it's sort of like there's that. Well, it's really low, but I think there's something. I remember reading something about this.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
He's just when they're in the room having the conversation, they're like, "Oh, did you hear that?" I think that's that. But you're not thinking that. You don't. Think
it's
this
like
you're not registering. You're not thinking what you're going to say. You're not thinking that.
They sometimes
even though they might have put that Easter egg in there.
They sometimes have very subtle audio. They had that when in episode 3 of Star Wars when the mask was being put on Anakin, and you hear him saying "Help me" or something, and it is there. I never heard it before. But when you told about it and you know the scene, you do hear it. So maybe this is a similar premise.
It's like the other side of Star Wars as well. Somebody on YouTube slowed it down. You know when Vader throws the Emperor over the balcony? If there's somebody, Palpatine is shouting at him saying, "Put me down, Vader, put me down." But you don't hear it. Somebody did a video on it. They did something, and he is actually saying to him, "Put me down, Vader, what are you doing?" You know, when he lifts him up.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I saw this clip. If I can find it again, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, okay. Another scene which had audio in it was the Diablo was the cat, and the cat got teleported and disappeared. and they hear the cat in the actual system going. Do you remember that bit? Another creepy bit.
They didn't get the cat came back though. Did
No, the cat didn't come back.
bastards. I'm not. That is. I'm big. I like cats. What
Well,
you mean?
Yeah,
Cat never
I
come
think.
back.
Yeah, as far as I remember, they
Cat
teleported.
never come back.
But then they sort of hear "Meow" in the circuits.
I'm gonna start crying. What? So they got the family cat,
Yeah, and they've tried it apparently. Yeah,
shoved it in there, and beamed it off somewhere.
yeah. And it got lost in the circuits or something. I've not seen it for ages either, but I know that there was a similar. Yeah.
I'm going by my. I did. They did that. They got the family pet and shoved it.
Yeah.
Oh well. I didn't know that.
I mean, there was the Jeff Goldblum in the original Fly. I mean, he only did it to a monkey. Anyway, look, let's continue on with this film. So, I mean, it goes to a point where, the inspector says to Vincent Price's character, well, look, because she says, look, I did it. That's another premise, which, as we're talking, it's coming back to me. And she said, look, I killed him. And the inspector says, look, she's obviously insane. And we're going to have to sort of like put her into some sort of like asylum or something, and that was the thing. And then this is the point where that, because the wife knew, okay, we're going to see a spoiler now. At the end, we realise that the main character with the fly's head, it's not just one. That the human head and an arm is now on a standard housefly. And the standard housefly is then, we see a fly in a spider's web at the end. This is at the end of the film where the inspector was saying, look, we're going to have to put her away. She's obviously crazy and she can't be out in that's what's going to happen. And suddenly the kid spots it. And but this is after they'd gone off. And he said, one of his characters like, I've seen the fly. I can't do an American accent. I've seen the fly. And Vincent Price's character like, no, whatever, But eventually he gets persuaded to go outside. And then we have probably the one of the scariest scenes, I think, in 50s horror. I don't care.
I still think it stands today.
I do. And you see the character, and it's really clever because it's a close-up on his face, and his face is really white. He's got like wispy hair slightly over his face, and he's got no eyebrows, and his voice is really high up and distorted.
Yep.
And he's crying out, he's saying, help me! And, oh my God, that was scary enough. And then the inspector and the brother, they all get round there, and of course, they say, oh my God, it's true, this is real, this must be real. And then there's this big spider coming towards the fly. And it sounds really stupid when you describe it on here.
Yeah.
But it's just so good when you watch it in real life. And then, of course, the brother sort of like says, well, what we're going to do, and he grabs a rock, and it's just about to bite his head off, the spider, and he's going, bang, and a great big rock kills the spider, kills the fly, and then they just sit there shocked, and you realise, that they all know now that the wife it wasn't her fault, and that last scene, the way they did it, I don't care if it's 1958. It was
no, it freaked me out.
Brilliant.
It freaked me out.
Absolutely brilliant.
It freaked me out today. That was
really, really.
I've never gone back to that film. Seen it twice. I won't watch it again.
Really, that's probably why you've got.
It really freaked me out that scene. And it really did.
Yeah, I know you're not so into horror either.
No, I'm not as much as what you're into horror. I like some of it, but that scene, it was so unexpected. In that film, I mean, it could have just been Monster of the Week, basically, and that film, when that happened, it took it up to another level. Yeah, I mean, it's such an intelligent film.
Absolutely,
it's
really, really good.
Well, why didn't they stop the bloody spider from eating him and put him in a glass? I mean, they could have.
Well, maybe. Well, I mean, you think if they had done that, I mean. What would have happened, because the body, the human, is no longer alive.
Yeah.
So I
And he'll
don't
be
know.
intelligent enough to do it.
And imagine well, I don't know. If the human had still been alive, which was what the wife was trying to do in the film, and they were trying to get them. She had the idea of mixing them back together again and hope it would sort itself out. They wanted to go through with the small fly and the human at the same point to try and get it right again, trying to fix the problem from the first time. But because now that the main human was dead, but the tiny fly was alive, it could. I don't know. I mean, but then the inspector said, "Well, look, technically, I think it was the inspector that killed it. No, it wasn't. It was his brother. But he said, look, you're just as guilty now as the wife because you've technically killed the human part of the fly, and the wife killed the fly part of the human."
Yeah. And that kid
Oh my God!
And that kid ain't going to be traumatized by this.
I know
for the rest of
exactly.
his
I
life.
mean, I know.
You've just killed me dad.
But it's
true.
I think it's. I know we were sort of being a bit joking about this, but I'm being in all honesty. It's a really solid film. It really is.
I'm not looking. It's one of the best. It starts off as a B movie, monster of the week stuff, and then it just goes down the other path. And to put that ending in was sheer genius.
Yeah.
Even today, nobody's done anything like that. It stands out on its own. That's why this film is so bloody good. It starts out. It's like we've watched these films before, where it starts off as something else, and then it's like it just evolves into something so different, and you get that beautiful twist. Fantastic film. Did you know there was a sequel to this?
I've seen the sequel. There was two
I've
sequels.
never seen it.
There
were two.
There was two sequels. There was The Son of the Fly and there's another Fly. The second one, Vincent Price returns as brother, and the son is now an adult. For some reason, the second one was actually filmed in black and white, which I always thought was strange because the first one was filmed in colour. It wasn't as good. It was all right.
Well, what happens? What happens in that?
I can't remember. I just remember that there was another experimentation. I think there was another animal or something that gets. I need to watch it again.
All right, so he basically continue and his dad's work.
It is it's a continuation of the. And I
right.
think we even said the lab for the first one again, and it's all still there, and they're trying to set it all up. And I think the son becomes obsessed with his dad's work, a bit like the Jeff Goldblum sequel.
And the third one then.
For some reason, I think the third one was filmed in the UK or something. The third one I can't remember.
Right.
I have seen them all.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I knew there was a sequel. I didn't know they'd done.
I've got it. I've got that film. So
I don't want to say it, but I'm surprised.
Where is the sequel? Actually, it was the Son of the Fly, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was sequel. I didn't know there was a third though.
Yeah,
surprised me there. I'm sure I didn't. So it did rather well then, didn't it? Really? I mean, to get 3 movies out.
I can't remember the third one at all.
No, I can't. No, because normally when they made sequels back then, it just got worse, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everyone just remembers the first one. I mean, it's like, I didn't mind the sequel to the Jeff Goldblum one, but it wasn't the Patterson original.
No, obviously not. Original's the best one.
Yeah, I can't find. I thought it was called The Son of the Fly, but it features.
Oh well, I won't. I don't think I'll be watching it.
I think it might be The Curse of the Fly, actually.
I'll just look on Wikipedia.
Yeah, it'll be on there. I'll take all the links to it. So, so I suppose let's finish off with a rating. What would you rate it out of 10?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, I think I'll give it
7's just right. I'd like to go higher, but.
I think I'll give it a 7.5. I'll give it very slightly higher.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a straight 7. I think
I'll give it 7.5.
It punches way above its weight for what it is.
Yeah,
I think it's 7 for me.
Okay, yeah, but it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. And it's a classic. It's a very old classic now. But just because it's old doesn't mean it can't be good. A lot of these things don't actually work long term, but.
Well, they've got 3 movies
This one's
now,
done. Actually, that makes me think of for a future show, I'd like to review the original Day of the Triffids movie with Howard Keel.
Oh, definitely. I'm up for that. I'm big fan of that.
As you said that, I'm thinking of another really old classic old movie. We've done the BBC version, but I wouldn't mind doing the Howard Keel one for a future reference. I think that's.
I'd like to do I'd like to review the new Avengers.
Yeah.
Purdy, Steed, and Gambit. because a lot of science fiction stuff in there. It's worth a
I've
look.
not. I need to check. I've got the
Some
Avengers.
really
but-
weird. It's worth a
Yeah,
look.
we'll put it on the list. Put it on the list.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you for that, Martin. That was a good film.
Yeah.
So check it out if you haven't seen it. It's well worth a watch. Yeah, it's a thumbs up from us. On that note, we've got some Solo One Sci-Fi news and some big news for Star Trek fans like us. So we'll be right back.
Yeah, and it's wonderful.
Solar Sci-Fi Right, so we've had certainly a lot of Star Trek news this week. Continuing with Star Trek Picard and something as well for you Star Trek Discovery fans. So, do you want to go with the Discovery news first, or do you want to review Picard Season 3, Episode 3?
Can I hear the flush of a toilet right now? Can this be added? Can we just go quiet for a few seconds and just hear a big like a big turd going into a toilet, and then it gets flushed?
All right, here we go. Okay, so there we go. So I suppose it's been on the cards. It's been on the cards for a long time, and a lot of people have had a go at Discovery, and it has had a lot of problems. But did you see this as something that they were going to do at this point, or do you think it might have? You think at least it would go to a season 6 or something?
I knew it wouldn't go to season 6.
Yeah,
I knew. I thought. Look, I've stuck with it, right? Well, I'll go into that in a minute. I knew when that. Well, we said on season 4 that it'll finish at season 5, because there ain't really anywhere they can go with it now. I mean, it's been one big screw up after another. You know, and people are going to get annoyed with me for saying that, because I know people like it, but to me, it's up to season 2. After that, you could just bin it.
Well, I've been rewatching season 3 actually recently, and it's. Do you know what? I know you're not going to like me saying this, but it's not so bad watching at the second viewing. It's once you get a bit used to it. Don't get me wrong; it's got a lot of problems, but I think this is going to be one of those series that in the future it won't be looked back upon so badly.
You mean like Enterprise?
Yeah, I mean, Enterprise. When I watched that, I didn't get that vibe. Because there was some great.
I loved
stories.
Enterprise. The minute Enterprise
the first
started,
time I watched
it,
and I didn't get that with this. I mean, I do concede
just locked
that.
onto it. So, but it did get a lot of hate, did Enterprise? But now it's very appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. So
there could be a chance of that. There could be a chance of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we've not seen the last season. Now, of course, the last season when we see it. When they were filming it, they didn't know it's going to be its last season, so it's not going to be a show where it's coming to an end. Like, remember the Next Generation season 7, it was starting to wrap up. DS9, you know, they all had that arc. Enterprise didn't, and they had to rush the ending with that holodeck episode with Riker and Troy, which a lot of people really hated. From what I understand, they are going to be doing some last-minute shooting of.
Yeah, they are.
So whether that will comprise of an extra episode. Which I personally think it may well do, because unless they filmed it at the point where they weren't sure what they were going to do for season 6, so they might have done it so it was a way sort of like a bit ambiguous, so they knew exactly that they could actually finish it off. But then I know they're going to do some extra scenes or some extra bits to it and stuff like that. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is because of the Paramount Plus's financial woes. All the streaming sites are really starting to, you know, tighten the old belt strings and all this sort of stuff, because streaming has passed its peak of interest and financial profit. It's now settled down a bit, and you know, they're also to set up all these streaming sites. They've had to spend so much on content to entice you to want to pay for their service.
Well, they did. Look at Amazon spent 500 million quid on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but it looks like a load of old shite.
I've never seen it, but I've heard it got panned. It got absolutely panned.
No,
500 million on that.
Yeah, I've heard it was awful. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I don't mind it, but I'm not into so much into fantasy. But yeah, I've heard it wasn't very good. And even so, I mean. I suppose the question is, if they've now, from what we know, we're going to have this. Now, Picard is finishing, right? And Picard Season 3 so far is the best Star Trek for me, at least in 20 years, right? Strange New Worlds is the second best thing in 20 years. It's really, really solid so far. Okay,
Yeah.
they're both
Yeah.
great. Both great so far. And again, Picard we're not there yet. We'll have to see how it finishes. I think it's going to continue, but there we go. Do you think if Picard continues at this standard writing with Terry Matalas, which I think it will, if he were to continue, do you think they would make another series or like a continuation in the early 25th century, post Next Generation era?
Yeah, I do.
And then because the future, the Discovery future period is just no good. It's just...
Right. Before we got to Discovery, I'm going to say this about Picard. The start of this series, you know how it is. The start of this series, he's outshone everybody in this series so far. The minute he appeared, chopping people's heads off. And his relationship, he calls her Raffaella, and I love it because she gets getting annoyed with him. You can't fucking Rafa. He's got Raffaella, you know. I'm going to apologise for killing all them people. And I'm trying, would you like peppermint tea with sugar? You know, I'm trying to calm my mood so I don't do these, you know, and I'm loving this side of it. I think we're going to get a Worf series through this.
Well, they might do. Even the makeup
sense.
apparently is a lot faster to put on him. Apparently he has two people doing his makeup now rather than one. It used to take him 4 hours. Apparently, and now it only takes him an hour to do it, which he's a lot better about.
It's marvellous. He's outshining everybody.
Would you like to see a Captain Worf series?
Yeah, I would. I'd like to see
I don't want him on a Klingon ship. I like him like... What about if it was Captain Worf and Seven of Nine as the first officer?
I'd be happy with that because I think them two work together. I think they work really well together. She's quite cold and logical, and he's like how he is.
And I reckon Picard's son could be on it as well if he survives this season as well.
Yeah, I think there's potential of Worf getting the Titan and, you know, taking it off.
If it survives. If it survives the season. Yeah.
I mean, for this series, for me, it's Worf. I think Worf's going to be the star of this. Michael Dorn's. I just think he can carry it. As a captain of a starship, Worf could carry this series beautifully. Do you know what I mean? I know it's like he's like, he don't want to kill people because he sort of mentions that.
He's got his I mean, he is the actor in Star Trek's history who's been in the most episodes.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And everyone loves Worf. Everybody, since he's come back, everyone's loved him.
I mean, if you were going to beam down on an away mission, you're going to take him with you because you know he's badass.
I can see that working, Captain Worf. Star Trek Worf, Star Trek Captain Worf. Yeah, I can see that.
Give him the fucking Titan.
Or the Enterprise F or something. Enterprise G or whatever it is. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and give him a new.
And also then continue in this era so we can have DS9 crossovers, Voyager crossovers.
Wonderful because they gave us a nice big juicy bone last week, and I was so excited. I mean, I remember we discussed the scene when he first appeared, and then there was the changeling thing.
Yep, which was a real shock.
And she thought he were on them drugs or whatever, and he just looked at him. He knew all along. He said,
"I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it."
I didn't.
I didn't actually notice. When he revealed, I still didn't notice a changeling because it didn't look quite the same as the old changelings.
No, they used quite slimy, didn't it?
And it's like a meat. It was like a slop of meat on the floor. It looked like flesh.
Yeah,
whereas it used to be more like look like orangey, sort of like liquid. But this it didn't look the same.
Like
a
kebab.
Yeah, it was like kebab.
Is that what the look?
It's like walking down sort of Tolworth Broadway on a Saturday night, and it's sort of like about up as 1 in the morning, and you're seeing these splodges of stuff outside the pub.
You know.
Yeah. So.
But that scene when he said you missed the Great Link, and I was like, what? And then we saw the other changing on the Titan, and it were like, and then we felt we got the Odo crossover when he said I have an old friend in the Great Link, and finally we got some answers to the Dominion War. Now we know why Starfleet's more militaristic, and you get that. It makes sense now that everything's a bit hard. After that war, it took them, killed millions. You know, they don't want it again. But I love the thing of the Great Link, that a schism between some of the founders. Some of the link broke off because they never forgave the others for surrendering during that war.
But I have to ask though, because I remember the female changelings saying, when they are part of the Great Link, the ocean, the drop becomes the ocean. But when they separate, the ocean becomes a drop. So surely when the drop, if they're the collective of the
It's a high
Great Link,
isn't it?
yeah, like the Borg. But I normally, I thought it was like a consistent. They all had the same way of thinking when they were merged.
No,
together.
they're still individuals, but the mind, they're all into each other's heads. Like they can't hide anything from each other. Remember that when they turn Odo human in the Great Link, and the ending of that episode where he saw Garon.
Yeah.
And he said before the fully changed.
Oh, that's right.
Human,
He saw the change. Yes,
he
right.
saw the image. So, but there'll be some of them that will break up. They are individuals.
So,
as well.
but will this
It's
be
weird
like?
how it is?
Will it be like a Great Link, like a second link, where there's a new
I
collection
assume so,
of?
yeah.
Yeah.
They've
Okay, I can see
located
that.
to the Alpha Quadrant. I'm hoping the Tuts and Gemma are with them as well. And there's a couple
Do you
of loyal
think we're
voters
going to
that
see
really don't, yeah.
Do you think we might see Founders and Jem Hadar?
I think I think with my theory of what's going to happen. I don't think we've seen the major villain behind all this yet. I don't think Vladik. Vladik is not the full villain. There's somebody. There were always in a series like in Discovery episode 2. When you first see Lorca, there's a scene of him looking at himself in the mirror, in the window.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
about 10 seconds. They always put in an Easter egg that's there in front of you, but you never find it.
You can't
till
see it
it's
until yes, it's so
yeah,
subtle.
and I think they've done that in that episode. I think it's like I think that they're going to make another founder who's probably on there. Not always he's been sent in to stop them because they don't want another war. There's going to be some Dominion politics going on here.
So
And that's marvellous. But I also think there's somebody else behind the throne. There's a guiding hand with all this. I don't think it's the founders. I think they're part of it.
what
they're
else could it
part of
be? I mean, the Founders are huge.
I don't. Well, you've got Vladik. We know Vladik stole
Vladik.
the portal weapon, but that was all a cover. What they stole from the Daystrom Institute was law.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I
They
thought that we
want
talked
law
about
for
this
a
before we hit
certain
record.
reason, yeah.
We both said
Yeah,
straight away
yeah,
we thought it was law.
Yeah. So we've got law, and they end up with the Moriarty hologram. That's two villains.
I think the Moriarty thing is-
Vladik, and we've got founders. 4 villains so far.
I think the Moriarty thing's not going to be a big thing from what I've heard. And apparently, this season is split technically into 3 subsects. It's episodes 1 to 4 are one section. Episodes 5 to 7 is the second section. Episodes 5 to 8, and then 9 and 10 is the last part apparently. So I don't know how this is going to go. I'm thoroughly thrilled with the whole thing. I just, my jaw drops in every episode. And
Yeah, because Beverly Crusher said to him, the people, they're not after me. They're after you because of things you've done with Starfleet. It's somebody, Picard, there's somebody in the past here, whoever it is, they're after him. She said you're the one where they're all after you. She said that to him. They must realise they get her, he's going to come for her. And
So-
Vladik, what do they call it? Vladik?
Vladik.
She's playing with them all the time. Like she's like 4 steps ahead. The thing between Riker and Riker's like, what's going on, Riker? Why are you attacking the ship? The deuterium leak.
Yeah, yeah.
Riker's a canny. This was the guy that took out the Borg cube. He saved. Yeah, he took it all out.
Ball 359. Yeah.
I mean, the
best
guy's
program.
he's an excellent top-rate starship captain, and he's a warrior, is Riker. But he wanted to, I was thinking, because I started going, Picard, Yeah, why don't you attack it? And then when that attack did, when they launched all them torpedoes, because they thought they were behind the strike, and she just portaled the torpedoes through, going round, and it just took out the Titan, and it started going down into that nebula.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This Valdek or Vlad, she's like 3 to 4 steps ahead of these, and already she's broken Riker's friendship with him. He told him get off the bridge. I mean, to do that to his mentor, his best friend, to do that. I mean, I was like shocked at what I was saying, you know. But there's something else going on here. There's something in the back. Something is assembling these villains. It's Picard the one. It's him. Because if she wanted to destroy that ship, she could have took it out at any time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And she done. And they all said, it's him. He's done something. I don't know what. You know, maybe it's something to do with law. I don't know. I assume it's law that's stolen from Daystrom Institute. I assume that's where it's going, and the Moriarty thing goes with it. And there's Vladek, the change, a renegade faction, the Changelings, and Law's going to come into it. But I think there's going to be a twist with Law. I think there's going to be a twist with Law. I think towards the end of the series, Law will change his ways.
I still think there's going to be some link with Law and Data in the future. I personally think that in the end, some of the memories of Data which are in B4 are somehow transferred into Law.
Yeah,
Law, maybe Law, be like Law and Data will be like merged, a little bit like 2 bits, sort of like a split of the both or something.
And Law will sacrifice himself at the end of the series. I don't know.
What about the other people are saying that Riker at the end of episode 3 was really a bit out of character and shouting at Picard to get off the bridge?
No, I don't.
A lot of people are saying that he's like maybe someone that we know, one of the is a changeling rather than their themselves.
No.
You don't think so?
No. I don't know. It won't work because I would have thought Riker would have attacked. He won't, but Riker, he said, look, let's get out of this nebula and then deal with this because we're out gun, we're out match. And they used every sneaky, tricky trick in the book to what they use in a standard episode. They always come up with some maneuver or some thing that'll get them out of the situation. They tried that several times and they all failed. That Valdek, she's 4 steps ahead of them all the time. She's playing with them. She's enjoying it. She's playing with them. Every time they try to escape, she just let that portal weapon off. I don't know. It's like she knows there's something else going on here, and I ain't got a bloody clue what it is. But I know that they stole data from Law from that Daystrom Institute. They've got him, unless Law's behind all this. But there's changelings, Vladek, and Law. Obviously, we're going to see Law this week, probably at the end of the episode. We're going to get that's going to be and then episode 5. It's going to be in by episode 5. It's got to be. But there's an alliance here. The things, certain forces are working with each other, and I ain't got a bloody clue what's going on. I do not. You see, the last series we worked it out with the time traveler about 4 episodes before. Yes. We knew that Borg on the bridge
was the
we said that 4 to 5 episodes.
Yeah, we were right about that.
Before, and we were right. So I don't know. They've got me this time.
Well,
go on.
As I said, the changelings really threw me. But if it's Law, it seems quite obvious it's Law's involved. But I don't know in what context.
Well, Law could be the big bad behind all this. I could see him working a plan out like this anyway.
I just think of the Founders as bigger than Law. I mean, what do you think about the Dominion and the Founders?
Well, Law did take over an entire Borg collective.
A subsect of the Borg collective.
A subsection, but he did, didn't he? I mean, he's... Yeah. I mean, don't underestimate Law. And then he had that crystal entity running around with him.
True. Wouldn't it be odd love to see that again? Imagine if you got the crystal entity to come back.
I mean, fucking
I'd love to see that again. That would be so cool.
Let's get all the badasses out there and, But whatever's going on, all this is aimed at Picard. Because that Beverly said, I don't know why they're after me. It's you. She said, you're the one that's big enough to get this start. I mean, she told him.
I thought they were after Picard. I thought they were after Beverly's son, though.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's that important. There's something.
There's something we don't know. There's something that's going on.
Well,
yeah.
why she could have destroyed that ship first time she met it. They used every sort of, like the Riker maneuver and all the tricks we see in episodes. Where they're almost out of the thing, but they get that moment where they can do something and blow that ship out of the thing. You always got that in Star Trek, didn't you? You know that one. But if we load them in here, we might have 6 torpedoes left, but we can take them out. Then escape. And they tried them sort of maneuvers. They were like, in a normal episode, they would have worked.
I think there's something.
Blame with them.
I think there's something in the next episode which I've got a hint of, which might be a big factor. The nebula that they're in, they said at one point that it might be actually partly a biological nebula. It might not be just a natural nebula.
Nagale.
No, not Nagilum. No, not him.
No.
But I wonder whether there's something in the nebula, because that's going to be an aspect of this episode. Because I did see a clip of a scene where they're sinking down, and then there's a big bright light that comes up. So there's something. I don't know. We don't know enough, and it's that's what. It's annoying.
I know.
It's all good. But we're having a good time. Oh, do you know what? Actually, I was going to say, once we wrap this up, I'll very quickly ask you about The Mandalorian, because The Mandalorian, I've completely forgotten about that. I've seen episodes of that.
I watched that. It was my mate's birthday, and I went round there and I had a bottle of wine out. I don't really drink, but
That's all right.
And we watched it, and I was pretty pissed, and I didn't seem to resonate that much.
No, it was a very, very.
So wait, I thought it was. Is it because I'm slightly pissed I'm seeing it like this then?
No,
so you thought you weren't impressed with it?
It was a bit. Well, I think personally it would have been bigger, but it's just that I really don't want the Mandalorian and Picard to be on at the same time. That's the problem.
Picard shit all over Mandalorian.
Oh yeah. I'm not just
blew it out of the water.
Exactly, because we've been talking about Picard for half an hour, and this is the first time we've even mentioned the Mandalorian. So what does that say?
I was very disappointed. I was expecting, after nearly a year and a half away, I was expecting at least we're going to get a bit. All right, second episode be a bit low key. Go with that.
Yeah.
But the first episode, we're expecting a massive sort of opener. To get like a juicy bone through.
No, it was.
Never got it.
No, I mean, you had that big crocodile monster in the sea kind of thing, and you had like it was alright. I mean, I didn't dislike it.
Yeah, I mean.
But it was quite a forgettable episode, I thought.
But maybe that's the plan. That's by next week we could be screaming about. Did you watch the Mando?
We might have been. I don't know. I still think this because Picard and Mando are on at the same time. I think it would have been better just to have them separate, because they're the two of the biggest franchises that we watch, and I at the moment Picard is just so good that nothing else can eclipse it. Nothing else.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the way I feel about it.
There's nothing really much to report on, man.
But if it's really, I mean, maybe if we get that real wow episode in episode 2, then we'll be going on about that as much as Picard next week.
See, last time it was like Discovery finished, then Mando started, then we got Picard, and it sort of were like one after another. Do you know what I mean?
I really prefer that. Yeah,
I preferred it that way. Now, Wednesdays we've got Mando, Fridays we've got Picard, and it's just not working, is it?
No, not at the moment. It's just sort of like, I don't know why, it's just breaking up the and don't think we're going to have big gaps coming up, because I don't know when Strange New Worlds is going to come up. Discovery now is not going to come back till 2024, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I know.
Which is.
I mean, we have to discuss this now. It's cancellation. I mean, we're here. And I will watch season 5. I will, of course I will.
Of course I will.
You see, my problem with Discovery, when I first saw the trailer for it, everybody complained about the look of it. I remember that. But I thought, no, I'm going to give this a go. Star Trek's back where it should be.
Yeah.
And I did. And then they killed off Michelle Yeoh, which I didn't agree with that.
Yeah, I liked her character. She was good.
She should have been the captain of the thing from episode 1. And then they went with the all right. I'll give them that. They tried to be different. Let's go with a crew member who's on her way up the command structure, and we'll put all the characters around her. And then all right, I'll go with that. After 5 or 6 episodes, I could not stand Burnham. Right. It wasn't until later on I sort of got into Burnham. I sort of quite liked her by season 2. But season 1, I enjoyed season 1. But the problem was they put so much in it.
Yeah.
It was like an overstuffed box. The whole, I mean,
they threw in everything, even the kitchen sink, and nothing. They threw in what they could to see what stuck.
Yeah,
and a lot of it didn't stick.
No, it didn't. The whole mirror universe thing could have been just the second season alone. Yeah, you know, it could have the whole lot. You could have done 2 seasons of the Lorca thing, which I think would have been better. That would have been the big sort of blowout in the next series.
Yep.
But I did like the characters. I like Stamets. I love Saru.
Saru is the best character, my opinion. Yeah.
I didn't mind it, but then it's and you know, season 2, it was like it won't work in first episode, and then Anson Mount came in as Pike.
Yeah, but he shook things up, didn't he?
He was like, you know, I really enjoyed season 2. You know, but then he left, and then they went into future. And it was just like, because I think Star Trek shot themselves in foot with this, like the future thing that in 28, 27, or what that century, when that kid has a tantrum.
Yeah, the burn.
The burn. Because I sat through burn, and I, you know, and I was hoping, you know, every week some force destroyed dilithium right across the galaxy, so only certain races had warp travel. And the Federation were reduced, and everybody cut themselves off. And then I get this, let's rebuild the Federation, interesting. And then when we finally got, I want it to be some kind of malevolent force, something out, you know, something. It were like 4 episodes of a kid in a holodeck having a fucking tantrum. And they had sent Saru in to talk the kid out of the tantrum. So, because they were going to do it again, and they got the kid out of there. And then they all got the dilithium back. And also by 31st century, I think they would have gone beyond dilithium. There were things like that just didn't make sense.
I thought by the 31st century they would have a speed where they were exploring different galaxies.
Well, transwarp
transwarp has been used by other races before. I really want to see the last season and then work out how it all is. It's got a lot of problems. I don't know. I have been disappointed by the series generally, but I do think that it will go up in my estimation once it's all done, and I can watch it all again. I know exactly where it's going. I know what to expect. And I think that one of the major problems was that it didn't go where we expected it. They redesigned the alien races. They made the ships look weird. It didn't fit with canon with the other series. And no, Strange New Worlds doesn't fit with canon with the cage and
but it works.
But it does. But that's partly in its defense. I think that's partly because we've kind of been given time to adjust to the fact that they're not going to just make it look like the cage bridge from 1964.
No, you can't do that.
Right?
Well, actually, they could have done that. Well, they did it in Next Generation Enterprise, didn't they?
Yeah, but that was
sort of modernised it.
But that's even that was nearly 20 years ago. The last time we saw the classic Enterprise was in 2004, or 2005. We're 2023 now. I don't know. I can see where they're coming from, but they could have made Discovery. They could have made it like Strange New Worlds, where it's still modernised, but it still feels like Star Trek, that era. Whereas Discovery didn't look like that. It didn't fit in at all. It was really everything from the uniforms to the Klingons, the races, even and the ships. All the ships looked wrong. And I think that...
I mean, there were one or two, don't get me wrong. I mean, there were some good episodes in there. like when they went to Saro's planet and
Really
they were that
good.
planet
Yeah.
with a blue crystalline tree with them life forms. Like, I mean, yeah, that's when
It's
you were
not all
touching
bad. And
yeah, that's when you were touching on Star Trek episodes. But
yes, you were.
some of my friends that watched it, they said they got and I'm not going to get all political. I'm not, but they said the preaching in it was just beyond it. It was. There was a lot of. It was quite preachy in a lot of places. Instead of delivering a decent message in a proper written science fiction with a solid story to get
It's
the
the
point
way it was
across,
communicated in that preaching method.
it was the way it was communicated, and they went wrong on that. And I do sort of have some issues with that because I've watched the '60s stuff at Next Gen, like episodes like Drumhead. And stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, a fucking classic. And Picard saying we've always got so, he says, Worf says, look, I'm sorry for believing her, that Admiral Sati. And Picard said, look, these people, you've got to be on the watch for them. And he's right. They delivered a wonderful, beautiful episode with a warning in there, but it wasn't patronising. It took you on the journey to get to that. Discovery. It were like they were dealing with issues and it were all like how she never felt good enough to be in the crew, the engineering, the trill person. She wasn't good enough, and then she had love affair with Vision, but then they gave her an android body, and then she left her and all it was just all of it was just getting on my fucking nerves. Now I did like the engineering woman because she got Stamets' ass.
Yeah,
Big fan of her.
Yeah,
I liked her.
Yeah, I
She
think
was
she's.
cool.
She wasn't in so much in season 4. I think she's still
No,
around.
she won't. I liked her.
Yeah, I liked her as well. I liked her also with Stamets. The way they bounced off each other was good.
Because I like the Doctor.
Yeah,
as
Stamets
well.
is good. Yeah, is it Culber? Culber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the it was like it wasn't complete somehow, and the other problem. Now I'm going to say this in its defence as well. I always found like last 2 seasons, like the first Discovery always starts very well.
Well, Picard
All
season
the
2
time.
did as well, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Then it fizzles out. Yeah.
It was like season 4, because we covered season 4. And it started off amazing, the thing beyond the galactic barrier and all
Which was
this.
really interesting idea.
We were like, this is great, this is what we want,
Yeah,
we
it didn't
I
quite
wanna
go there,
back
though,
to
did it?
galactic barrier.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. And then it turned into a complete rip-off of the motion picture, because that's the vibe it gave you. They were trying to create a mega epic story. And when we got there, it was some octopus creatures that were so fucking advanced that I don't know, they were just doing something, and they had to explain.
They were feeding off it. There was something how they get energy or something, wasn't it? Or,
yeah, well, they didn't know anybody lived there.
Yeah, so they were like
And-
killing. Yeah, that's what the whole point.
Yeah,
I didn't mind it. I didn't actually mind it.
it was all right.
But do you know what? It was again-
But we've seen that so many times before.
Yeah, but don't you in science fiction? Isn't there a point where sometimes you get repetition?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I mean, in the end,
Yeah.
science fiction has got a multitude of stories, but in the end, you're going to get some things which are going to repeat on.
I just,
like the original movie, and Tuvix, the Voyager.
Yeah,
It comes around in circles, and Star
Yeah,
Trek
no, it does.
it's done 800 episodes. They've done about 13
Yeah.
series. You're going to get that to a
but
degree.
it would have been nice that it would have been some kind of ancient malevolent force that were malevolent. It were outside, it were trying to get in.
They haven't gone there, haven't they? Because they had the
I
burn,
would have liked to have seen that.
And you
just,
sort of like big bad.
we got
big
that
baddie.
in season 3. We got that with Kid having a tantrum.
Yeah, but that was one kid. We want a race. We want something which is really
Yeah.
dangerous,
Trying
really
to get in.
alien, and really trying to, And the thing is, you see, and they've
That's
got.
why the barrier's up there to
But
keep
they've
it
got
out.
to. They've got to. Oh yeah, that'd be great if they'd have discovered that the barrier originally, which has featured since original series, was originally created by some previously unknown race to stop.
The Q set it
Or
up
something
keep
to stop
whatever it want out.
something coming out. Yeah, that would have been. That's a great idea.
That's right, and I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
knocking
good
the story.
thinking.
I'm not. It was intelligent. Of course it was. But it was just. I was just watching 15 episodes of the motion picture.
Yeah.
That's I wanted something that was. It's not allowed in.
I
and
also
it's kept
think
out.
I think also they had too many episodes in season 4. The newer season is
had a lot.
10 episodes, and I think I don't know why, but a lot of these modern series, 10 episode season arcs seems to be a lot better.
Would you
For arcs, not.
But have you got the patience to sit through 24 episodes now?
If it was standalone like Strange New Worlds, then yes. If it was Discovery like straight season 3, then probably no, because it would just.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't even. I mean, the thing is with Discovery, you can't really jump to individual episodes. I know you can, but
I tried to occasionally. I tried to.
Connected,
I missed that. And
well, it's like I watched some Stargate. I watched The Return the other day.
oh yeah.
You know, Stargate Atlantis. I got the 2-part out where ancients turn up and replicate.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I watched it, but going through the start, I could choose to watch them 2 episodes because I know next episode's a totally different story.
Yeah, you got that freedom. You got a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I want to be able to do that. I don't mind 3 story arcs. You know what I mean?
But it's harder with Discovery.
Yeah.
Which is why, again, in the future, you'll be watching a lot more rewatching Strange New Worlds because most of the episodes, although there is some interconnectivity, I can't say the word, interconnectivity, whatever the word, it's less pronounced, so you can still watch it, kind of thing. So,
you know,
well, look, we've got to wrap up at this point because we're nearly out of the ultra infamous Zoom.
Then. Well,
any last words about it before we wrap up the show?
Well, obviously, I'm not. Maybe in a couple of years you could be right.
I think it's going to. I think I'm going to look on it better in the future. It might be because they've got back to canon with Picard that we're seeing proper Star Trek. So this is just like a sort of side Trek kind of thing.
Yeah.
If Picard and all the others were also just so completely different, then I would probably be hard on it. But now that they're getting it back on course to what we know, then I could think of it as just like, oh well, you know, this area of space, the Klingons look like that. And it's a stretch, but you got to be a bit open-minded with science fiction because
no, I am open-minded, but I don't think it had gone to season 6.
No, well, I'm surprised, but
maybe by the end of season 5, maybe we're going to get such an amazing season that it'll realign the last 4 seasons.
It could do.
And so really it's like one big story. It's all going somewhere by the end of season 5. And then you think, well, actually, after watching that and where there was something from episode 3 from season, and it were put in there and it's ended there, actually it's not that bad. I mean, there is, a 25% chance of that.
Well, look, Martin, we'll have to see. But listen, thanks for your review of it. It's an interesting time we're going through. And let's hope this actually marks the opening of a Star Trek Titan or a Star Trek Worf series, because they will have the money saved from Discovery to perhaps do a new series. And that would be really good, especially if Terry Metalis takes over. So, Martin, thank you very much. Next week we'll be back. We're not sure what's happening next week, so we're not going to confirm anything.
Keep it quiet.
But we might have something interesting. But we'll be back next week with something.
Something.
Yes, something could be. Until next week, Martin. Thank you very much.
Next week.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Yeah.